Let me ask you, what is the one thing you wish you could change about how you deal with life's challenges? For most of us, the answer boils down to one thing. We want to suffer less. Now, we can't always control the pain life throws at us, but wouldn't it be incredible if we could control how much we suffer? Well, this is the story of how we can. It's a lesson that is as relevant now as it was thousands of years ago, and it comes from the Buddha's story of two arrows. Trust me, it has the power to change how you experience each moment of your life. The Buddha explained that in life, we all get hit by arrows. Now, these arrows are not made of wood like this or steel or iron. They are made of life's inevitable challenges: loss, disappointment, illness, failure, and much, much more. These are the first arrows and no one escapes them. Life will send them our way whether we are ready or not. Also, this first arrow represents something very important. This is the unavoidable pain of life. When a relationship falls apart or a loved one passes away or you face a major setback, it stings. And the sting is real. We can't wish it away and we can't meditate it away. That pain, the first arrow, is part of the human experience. But there is a second arrow, one that is far more dangerous. And this one is in our control. The second arrow is the suffering which we add on top of that initial pain. It is our reactions, our thoughts, our fears, and our anxieties which multiply that initial pain. And the good news is that this second arrow is completely optional. Let's say you received some bad news, somebody passed away, somebody fell sick, or you lost your job. That pain is real. It's a pain of the first arrow and it hurts. Now, what happens next is crucial. Your mind starts racing. Why me? Why does this always happen to me? It must be that person's fault. What if I am alone forever? What if I'm never happy? These are the thoughts that make the situation much worse. They are not a reflection of reality. They are the stories which your mind is creating around that first arrow of pain. This inner dialogue, this mental anguish, this is the second arrow. And while the first one was inevitable, this one is self-inflicted. It's the suffering which comes from our mind's tendency to reject the reality of life. And we already know that these stories are so enticing. We let one thread touch us and pretty soon we are enveloped in that whole entanglement of Maya. Do the stories make any logical sense? Of course not. Do we still keep on crafting them day in and out? Absolutely. Why? All around you, most of what you see is people experiencing this second arrow. Everyone has piled up layers of fear, frustration, anxiety, anger, regret, and they have created stories of how all of that is because of someone else. The hypothesis that my suffering is because of the arrow I shot, well, that reality is too hard to acknowledge. And so we turn that initial pain into prolonged suffering, a suffering that is entirely our own creation. Now is the time to stop this habit, and the key in how to do that lies in two parts: wisdom and mindfulness. Let's talk about wisdom first. We suffer because we identify with something we are not. We believe this is who we are. This is what we only are. A separate body struggling through life, always at risk of getting left behind. Our thoughts have completely taken over our existence. And when we think of ourselves as this limited body-mind complex, every pain, every arrow becomes that much more personal and intense and so much more significant. But that belief is really not true, and it is not that hard to acknowledge it. The nature of reality is that you are that single, uninterrupted, unchangeable consciousness. And this consciousness is beyond the dualities of pain and pleasure, loss and gain. It is awareness, unaffected by the events of the world. Truly understanding this is a huge shift in perspective, because while the body and mind may experience the pain and the arrows, the self is untouched by them. It's like the screen on which the movie of life is playing, and no matter how intense the scene might be, the screen is unaffected. And when you realize this, something profound starts happening. You stop clinging to the pain, you stop identifying with the suffering, and there is really a subtle change in how you live your life. You can see the first arrow for what it truly is. just another passing moment in the play of life. And when you know that the self is beyond that play, you stop adding the second arrow of suffering. You remain as the witness, watching life unfold and even acting in it vigorously, but not getting caught up in it. And it really needs to be stressed that this is not merely a philosophical exercise. It is completely applicable in real life. When you practice wisdom, when you keep reminding yourself again and again that you are that unchangeable, eternal consciousness beyond life's ups and downs, you start shifting your relationship with pain. You are not getting wounded by the arrows of life. You don't have to attach your identity to the pain. You don't have to suffer. It really is a phenomenal change in the stance of living our life and allows us to remain steady and serene even in the face of adversity. But given our ingrained habits and patterns, even after knowing all the theory, we keep getting sucked back into the land of illusions and stories and directly in the line of add-on suffering. Hence, the second part of avoiding the suffering is mindfulness and meditation. Mindfulness is the practice of recognizing what is happening in the present moment without getting attached to it and without reacting to it immediately. So when life hits you with the unavoidable first arrow, you pause. You don't suppress the pain or the grief. You allow yourself to feel it without adding anything extra to it. You don't allow your mind to resist the reality of what is happening, and you also don't allow it to create worst case scenarios which will never unfold. Mindfulness allows you to stay present with what is, rather than reflecting and imagining what could be or what should have been. When the first arrow strikes, instead of spiraling down into fear or frustration or anger, you take a pause, you take a deep breath and consciously choose to not let your mind run wild. You simply stay with the pain, observing it with detachment and objectivity and compassion towards yourself and towards others without letting it consume you. And slowly, bit by bit, you start shielding yourself from the second arrow until eventually you stop shooting it completely. Combining wisdom and mindfulness is a very powerful approach of living your life. Wisdom tells you that you are beyond the arrows of life, that your true self is never touched. And mindfulness, it allows you to stay present without getting consumed or attached to what is happening. And this is how you avoid the pain and suffering of the second arrow, by the wisdom of non-duality and the practice of mindfulness. So the next time you're facing a really tough challenge, just remember that pain might be inevitable, but suffering is optional. The first arrow might be a part and parcel of life, but the second one, that is something which you are shooting. And so, as a homework, today, when you face a tough interaction or a conflict or something which you're avoiding, just think, am I going to allow this second arrow to ruin my peace? Or am I going to observe it unaffected, untouched, as the pure consciousness which I am? Thank you for watching. I hope this ancient wisdom coming both from Buddha and Advaita Vedanta helps you live your life with a little less suffering, with a lot more peace and with complete happiness. Until next time, take care.